Hi guys, so this is Passport to Adventure, which was a little demo disc released by Lucasfilm Games in 1990 containing 3 short demos for their upcoming graphic adventure games, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Loom and The Secret of Monkey Island. Indy and Monkey Island actually have slightly different elements in them when compared to the final games. Some have been changed for demo purposes to narrow the explorable area, but some aspects seem to have just been cut from the final release. Today we're just looking at the Monkey Island demo. I thought this would be interesting to examine and have a look at the differences. You can play this yourself if you like on DOSBox, and I'll put links down below in the description. Starting the demo, we get the wonderful Monkey Island theme music, but the actual demo doesn't really have any music during the gameplay. You start off on the dock here, EGA graphics obviously, and that wonderful dithered sunset drawn by Mark Ferrari. Mark drew all of the Melee Island village, which is what we're confined to in the demo. The first difference is apparent immediately. The troll is here. In the final game, the troll appears elsewhere guarding a bridge. Here he's used as a way to prevent the player from going left up to the cliffside. You can also see here that the cabin behind the troll has a door where the Governor Marley poster would be in the final release. So I guess we're going right. Heading into the Scumm Bar, it's familiar, but there are differences. For one, it's just the one room. You can immediately see the kitchen door to the right there, where in the final game there's an entire area over to the right where of course the 3 pirates who give you the 3 trials are sat. There's a bowl of mints here and we're going to grab ourselves a mint. In the final game you get a roll of mints bought from the shopkeeper. The kitchen looks pretty much the same. You've got all the same elements in there. You can pick up the meat and the pot under the bench. In the full game this pot is used as a crash helmet at the circus, but we won't be using it in the demo. You can put the meat in the stew pot here, but interestingly you can't immediately pick it up. If you try, it says something like it's going to take a while to cook, so I don't think we'll be using that in the demo either. Going outside, you've got the herring and the bird, and it's the same puzzle as the final game whereby you have to tread on the loose board 3 times to grab the fish. Going back to the main Scumm Bar area, you can only talk to one of the pirates, and he's oddly polite to Guybrush. He warns you to stay in the Scumm Bar and not venture out exploring Melee Island because of a terrifying presence, which we'll see shortly. Of course, we have one of the wonderful EGA character close-up portraits drawn by Steve Purcell. There's a little sound effect here as he reveals the sinister presence, which is of course LeChuck. One of the few instances of sound in this demo. You can see here when you try to talk to one of the other pirates, Guybrush says he doesn't want to talk to him in this demo, an example of the 4th wall breaks that Monkey Island is known for. Heading on to the next area of the village now, this guy is pretty much the same with the same or similar dialogue. He tries to sell you the map, but we don't have any money and won't do for the duration of the demo. You're hearing background music by the way, but just to be clear, that's music from the final game that I've overlaid on the video. It's not present in the demo itself. You can talk to these pirates, but just like the final game you don't get anywhere with them, they're just there for show. And you offend them here by saying you like to eat rat with white wine sauce. Interestingly, you can see here it's called Fortune Teller's Door, so the voodoo lady is called Fortune Teller in the demo. Let's head inside. There are a few interesting bits in here. So you can see here it's just named Dead Chicken instead of Rubber Chicken with a pulley in the middle. You can pick up the dead chicken. And then something quite interesting happens when you try to pick up this chalice here. That's one of the other only bits of sound in the demo, that little Indiana Jones fanfare. Cool little indie cameo there, and it would have been fun if that was left in the final game. I wonder why they didn't. Lucasfilm Adventures are notorious for including nods to their other adventure games and films. Weirdly, you give a little bit of fish to the fortune teller and she gives you some advice. There are several different dialogue options actually, and she reads your future. She alludes to the fact that you're going to be in a game, saying things like "I see a game in your future with great graphics" and so on. And she also gives a teaser about one of the puzzles, something about a cannon and gunpowder, obviously referencing the cannon puzzle when you're on the boat heading to Monkey Island. But yeah, basically she tells you about the 3 trials rather than the pirates in the Scumm Bar. She also informs you that you'll be meeting 2 beautiful women, one who you'll fight and one who you'll fall in love with, referring to Carla and Elaine respectively. But she says you're not going to meet either of them in the demo, so it doesn't really matter. It's quite amusing dialogue, but you don't really get anything from her here that's relevant to the demo. Now, the other doors here are very interesting. As you know, in the final game, if you go through one of these doors, you come out one of the other doors, but here you can also access the walkways up top. Look where the cursor is here, you can see Guybrush has come out on this walkway in the background. You can see him walking across the bridge there. It doesn't go anywhere, it's just a visual effect. And then he comes out of that door when he comes back. And if I just head round this side, you can go in this door over here, which leads to the little walkway by the clock. You can actually walk behind the clock here. Really intrigued to know why they removed that in the final game. I mean, it is pointless, but it is a nice little touch. Carrying on down here, you can't go into the shopkeeper's store or the church. We can go into the prison and see Otis. Have a little chat with him and he wants a breath mint, just like in the final game, and we have a mint which Guybrush took from the bowl in the bar. So in essence, that's the entirety of what you can interact with in the demo, but to complete the demo you have to get past the troll on the dock that we saw at the start. So if we go back to the dock and have a chat with the troll, he says he won't let you pass until you have the magic words. I exhausted all the dialogue options here and eventually he has enough and gives you a hint saying go and talk to the prisoner and the fortune teller. Back to the fortune teller slash voodoo lady, she gives you a magic phrase. Perhaps you should get a new faculty advisor. Ask Otis if he knows anything about a magical phrase and he says no, but when you go to walk off he says wait and he gives you the other half of the phrase. He says, "Tim once told me that Dave said that Ron wanted you to know that a 3rd shadow is nigh." This of course refers to 3 of the game's creators, Tim Schafer, Dave Grossman and Ron Gilbert. So we've got the phrase "let's head back to the troll." We have to say a combination of the 2 magical phrases, so a new faculty shadow is nigh. It's an amalgamation of the 2 magic phrases given to us by Otis and the fortune teller. The troll makes a lot of the gags about getting Guybrush's name wrong. See here, he calls him Peep Crud, which in the final game are mostly made by Fester Shinetop. After a bit of banter, he lets you pass. As you leave, he asks if you have any fish, and you can give him the remaining herring. He does the same animation from the final game whereby he removes the head of his costume to reveal he is in fact a man dressed up, and that man is in fact George Lucas. And that's the end of the demo. You then get a little credits screen. So I just thought that was really interesting, particularly the bit where you can go through the different doors and go up to the walkways, and also the little indie Easter egg where Guybrush briefly changes into Indiana Jones. That was cool. Anyway, I just thought it was worth showing because I found it very interesting, and as I said, if you want to play it yourself, I'll leave a link down in the video's description for you. There's a link to download it for DOSBox, and there's also an option to just play it in your browser, so if you don't want to faff around you can just run it in your browser and the browser will run DOSBox for you. So yeah, that was 1990's Passport to Adventure from Lucasfilm Games. Thanks for watching.